I removed the EGR valve first before I took out the alternator. In the other videos, the guys drop the alternator loose so that they can get at the two, especially the one difficult 10 millimeter bolt that's on the underside of the EGR valve, which is right there. I've had the EGR valve a couple times, replaced it a couple times, so I was comfortable doing it first, and I was able to get at it quite well with this small 1/4 inch ratchet with a little tiny extension and 10 mil socket. So I'll just put it on the okay, that's the top bolt. You can't see it, but it's right, I'm on the top bolt right there. And then where's the bottom bolt? Okay, I'm on the bottom bolt right there. It's really hard to see. I'm on the bottom bolt, but the trick is what you do with the EGR valve, so that you don't even have to be fishing for it, is when you remove the EGR valve, you remove that top bolt first, and then once that top bolt is removed first, there's a trick. I watched a guy do it on a video a long time ago. Once the top bolt is removed, you just actually take the valve and you just push it forward. It'll turn. It'll actually loosen the bolt as you turn that way. And when you turn it up that way, it'll expose that bottom bolt much easier, and then you can get at it with that. But even when you get at it though, it is, see it there, it is, there's not much clearance, but with this setup I was able to get at that bottom bolt. Okay, so here's the electrical connector to the alternator, and it's a little bit, you can't see where, when the alternator is in the right position, you can't quite see the back side of it, and it's the back side of it where you have to depress, where my thumb is right there. You depress that and then pull it out. So also I had a hard time kind of seeing where the red tab was when it was in the position. So what I did when I took the old one out, I actually undid it like that, and then I flipped it over like that so that I could get at the connector, so that I could see the red tab. Yeah, and also too, I sprayed some WD-40 around the red tab there and just kind of worked it back and forth a little tiny bit, because I've had them break off on me before on other vehicles. So okay, there's the electrical connector back on the alternator, with the alternator in the right position. So the red tab is right there. My finger's right on it now, and you want to pull it out towards the front of the vehicle to release it. So I'm going to just push it back in, locked in. Oh, it is locked. So yeah, and you can also, to release it, you can push it from the back, see that? Or pull it from the front. But when I undid it, it must have had a lot of grit in it, so I just couldn't see what I was doing. Okay, I've got all 3 bolts started now. This one here, I would say the best tool to get, other than this wrench, is a ratcheting wrench, because the socket's not really going to fit in there. I was able to crack it loose with the short 3/8 ratchet and 15 mil socket, but pretty much if you don't have a ratcheting wrench, you're going to just use a 15 regular wrench, and then just, you know, it's going to take a while, but you'll be able to get at it. And then also too, this is a ratchet I used, 15 millimeter 3/8, and I was able to actually get this harder to get at bolt that's underneath the pulley there. You can't see it. The other videos, the guys come up from the bottom to get at it, but I just found it was pretty easy to get at it with that ratchet, and you can feel it. You can feel the feel where the bolt is. Where is it there? Anyway, I'm on it right there. So I was able to both crack it loose and then tighten it with that ratchet. And you might have to work, you know, put it in different positions, but you should be able to get at it from also above. but if you have a deep well socket, that would be even better, because it would give you about another 1/2 inch clearance down there too. And if I had a deep well socket, I'd be using that instead, because it would just extend it out a little tiny bit and give you more travel on both the loosening and the tightening. I don't know if it makes a difference. There's two gaskets, like a metal one that goes between the EGR valve and the block. One of the intake and the lower intake, I guess. I just always like to keep the gaskets the right way, the way that they were on. I like to put them on the same way. In this case, this is the little gasket that goes on the pipe going into the EGR valve, and I just made a little note like that. That's the D, so that's the downside. I just like to put them back on the same way. It probably doesn't make a difference, but they do get creased, so I just say, you know, keep it the way you had it on there. Okay, shout out to the inventor of this really useful tool. It's a telescoping magnet. If you haven't already got one of these, it's really worth it. I've used it many times and it saved my ass many times. They're great. Where does there drop anything? And they telescope right down to, you know, like that big, like a pen. Anyway, great invention. I was able to do the job with keeping the front wheel on, but I just cranked it all the way over to the right to give a little bit of access here. And then once you get your this mud flap or whatever it is shroud off, then you can see what you're doing, like the other videos show. And then I use the serpentine belt removal tool, and that's the offset there. Mine comes in 2 pieces, so you don't need to jack up the vehicle too far, and that's enough right there. So the belt's back on. I chose to get my alternator rebuilt, so that is the original alternator right there. I had it rebuilt at auto electric shop that rebuilds alternators and starters, and it came out to be about $220, and it was basically the same price as purchasing a rebuilt alternator at our Canadian Tire. So and that was about the cheapest. The prices even went up from there. Like Napa Auto Parts in Canada wanted $350 for a rebuilt alternator. So I chose to do it through an auto electric shop, and I kind of think I mean I want to imagine that they use pretty good parts, like better quality parts than maybe the factories that rebuild the alternator. So anyway, something to consider when you're going to do your alternator is whether you're going to buy a remanufactured, a new, or get your current alternator rebuilt. So there you go.